If Rap Sheet is right, the New York Jets just might be getting it wrong in their search for an offensive coordinator. I'm Glenn Naughton with JetNation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. Now listen, the Jets search for a new offensive coordinator is in its infancy. Just started a couple days ago. So there's no need to get too worked up, too high or low about any prospective actual hires that could surface. But I will say this. In looking at a tweet from NFL insider Ian Rappaport the other day, or earlier today, he shot out a few names of guys the Jets were showing some interest in, that being Patriots tight end coach Nick Caley, Eagles quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson, and former Colts offensive coordinator Marcus Brady. This is shocking to me. The New York Jets right now, and by the way, check out this weekend's episode of Jet Nation Live from a couple days ago. Dylan Terraman was joined by Chris Schubert of the Draft Network. They did a great job talking about the quarterback situation, the coordinator situation. Check that out. It'll be on the Jet Nation YouTube channel along with this. So, as I was saying, these are three names we've heard from Ian Rappaport who don't fit the number one description, the number one thing the Jets should be looking for in a coordinator is a guy who has called plays and done it successfully. Nick Caley has never done that. He's never been a play caller. He's a tight ends coach. Started years ago on the defensive side of the ball in the college ranks, worked his way up. He's now the Patriots tight ends coach, has never been a coordinator. Brian Johnson has been the Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks coach for 2 years. Not a play caller. Hasn't done it. No sustained success doing it. Marcus Brady, 2 years of experience as a play caller with the Indianapolis Colts. 1 year they were good, 1 year they were bad. No sustained record of success. The name you'll hear now is one that you've heard before. You heard it if you listened to Dylan the other day with Chris Schubert. And that's Greg Olsen in L.A., where Sean McVay has agreed to stay on. However, there are still reportedly teams contacting the Rams about possibly hiring Olsen away and giving him their offensive coordinator jobs. Now, bringing in Olsen, it does two things. It gives you that guy with an established track record who's had some really good seasons. He's also had some really good seasons with some bad quarterbacks, as Chris Schubert mentioned the other day on Jet Nation Live. Whether it was Blake Bortles, who was terrible but had his best year under Olsen, Jared Goff, who has had a very up-and-down career but played his best football under Greg Olsen, and Derek Carr, who has played some of his best football under Greg Olsen. So for the Jets, listen, cast a wide net. I get it. You want to get as many voices as possible, as many interviews as possible. But when you're narrowing your search, if you're the New York Jets, you should be cutting, there should be no names on the list who have not done it before and done it well. And for the Jets, for Robert Saleh specifically, and Joe Douglas, to entertain the notion of bringing in someone who's not done it before, when their jobs are probably on the line, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And on the one hand, I look at those names and I say, this is a joke. There's no way they're even considering those guys. But the last time I said that was when I saw Albert Breer's tweet saying that the Jets were considering hiring Adam Gase as their new head coach. And I went, well, that's just dumb. There's Albert Breer doing a favor to a guy. Well, he turned out to be right. And I'm not saying any of these guys are going to get the job. I'm just saying the Jets right now should be focusing on guys who have done it before and who have done it well. Saleh, Douglas, there is no playoff mandate from Woody Johnson, which makes sense. Playoff mandates are dumb. Playoff mandates are basically a way to make fans feel good. Oh, okay, yeah, we mean it this year. We're the owner means business. Woody Johnson doesn't have to have a mandate to fire Douglas or Saleh at the end of next year if things don't go well. I would imagine at this point, Robert Saleh's seat is a little bit warmer because you've got Joe Douglas, who just brought in a couple of pretty good draft classes for you. One that, might I add, includes Sauce Gardner, he of the first team All-Pro, along with Quinnen Williams. Congratulations to both of those guys. Sauce Gardner, I'll tell you what, man, the tweets, the reaction on the Twitterverse from non-Jets fans has been hilarious. Never before has it been so clear how many fans don't understand or don't know what pass interference is. This isn't to say that Sauce didn't get away with a couple, but he's an NFL corner. You're going to get flagged a lot, but you play enough reps, you're going to have a couple reps where you get away with some PI. But I'm seeing people post plays where there is no PI from Sauce Gardner, where the receiver is initiating contact, pushing him off, where it should be OPI, and it's not. I'm seeing plays where he's blanketing receivers, and he's got a hand on a shoulder pad, but he's not forcing them to come off their route. He's not impeding their progress to the ball. You can lay a hand on a guy. You can feel for a guy. You can't grab the guy and stop him from doing what he wants to do. And this hate it's fantastic. Like, for opposing fans to hate a player this much, this quickly, just tells you how good he is. And I said weeks ago that it only took 5-6 weeks, and fans were already, if Sauce Gardner gave up a catch, not even a touchdown, a catch, opposing fans are jumping on their Twitter. Yeah, we got Sauce, we burned Sauce. All right, your guy got an 18-yard catch at some point. Fantastic. It's the NFL. Everyone's going to give up a catch. So Sauce Gardner, like, from the word go, opposing fans were going crazy if he would give up a reception. That's how good he is. And now he's first team All-Pro. First corner, I know you've seen it, but I'm going to say it anyway. First rookie corner to go first team All-Pro in 41 years. That's how good this kid is. And opposing fans are in tears. This guy holds on every play. Right. Because the most, PI and roughing the passer, you see more egregious calls on those than any other play in the NFL, in today's NFL. It's ridiculous, the frequency with which we see flags get thrown for this. But all of a sudden, NFL referees came together and decided, when it comes to Sauce Gardner, we're not going to throw any flags. Give me a break. The guy's just dominant. He is that good. First team All-Pro. I mean, that should. If that doesn't lock him in for Rookie of the Year, it's kind of a joke. But congrats to him. Quinnen Williams, also first team All-Pro. Career high 12 sacks. Wants to get paid. And the Jets better do it. You don't let guys like this get away. As myself and Dylan Turman discussed many times during the year, as good as this Jets defense was, it was Quinnen Williams, Sauce, and DJ Reed who made it go. Because Quinnen Williams was the guy up front who was either getting the pressure or allowing the pressure to get there by taking up extra blockers, and those corners on the outside were able to shadow opposing receivers without interfering and helping that defense thrive. So get Quinnen Williams locked up. I think that's going to happen. Also saw C.J. Mosley was second team All-Pro, 169 tackles, 59, something like that. Ton of tackles, just under 100 solo. He had 99 solo tackles. But it's the fifth time Mosley has heard his name called for Pro Bowl honors. Hell of a career for that guy. Will he be around next year? I don't know. $17 million. Might have to renegotiate. We'll see where that goes. But I think that those guys deserve a ton of credit for having done what they've managed to do this year. And now it's about next year. Of course, this offseason is going to come down to not just the coordinators, but finding yourself a quarterback. Because Zach Wilson, as it stands, will likely be your QB3 next year. Maybe your QB4. Just keep him off the field. You shouldn't see him for at least 10, 12 games. Maybe a late season cameo, something like that, fine. But other than that, Zach Wilson shouldn't be a consideration, and I'm sure he's not at this point. But if you can bring in a Greg Olsen, and I've already, a million people have said it. I said it 4 or 5 days ago. Greg Olsen, Derek Carr, pair those two. And if you had those two this year, the Jets are in the playoffs. Instead of us sitting around thinking about next year, we're sitting around thinking about what time the Jets kick off today or tomorrow. Had Derek Carr been on this roster, but he wasn't. I'm kind of shocked to see how many people are saying, they're throwing out Derek Carr's career record. Oh, but look at his record. Look at his, so many wins, so many losses. Never won a playoff game. Did we not just see Matthew Stafford 10 minutes ago, who was toiling away in Detroit, completely football irrelevancy, couldn't put up a winning record, couldn't win a playoff game, a worse situation than Derek Carr was in. Production was worse, fewer wins. This literally just happened. It's not like you got to look back 20 years for an example. We just saw a first-round quarterback who was on a bad team go to a good team and win a Super Bowl. Derek Carr, as I've said before, and I'll probably say again, and you'll see it in other places, drafted in 2014, No team in the NFL has given up more points than the Oakland Raiders in that time. Derek Carr has literally had to be the number one quarterback in the NFL if he wanted to have a winning record, because he would have had to have been the highest scoring offense in the NFL to overcome his defense. He's not that good. He's good, but I guarantee you with a lesser quarterback, the Raiders would be a 3 or 4 win team every year since Derek Carr was drafted. He's the one reason that they've been able to have some decent, respectable seasons. This Jets team, with a player like Derek Carr, as I said, they're walking into the playoffs right now. We're getting ready, like I said, we're getting ready for kickoff. So to say you don't get Derek Carr because he has a losing record, or you don't get Derek Carr because he hasn't had any postseason success, it just happened. The most recent Super Bowl winner was a guy whose stats were not as impressive, whose winning percentage was not as impressive as Derek Carr. Derek Carr was better across the board, and that guy just won a Super Bowl. Oh, but look at where the Rams are now. You think I give a damn about where the Jets are going to be the year after they win a Super Bowl? Win the damn Super Bowl first, and I'll worry about that later. People talking about, oh, if we get Carr and they win a Super Bowl, but then what if they're in salary cap hell? Who cares? Let's get a damn ring and then worry about everything else later on. 54 years in waiting, and we're talking about what might happen after they win a Super Bowl. I don't get it. I mean, again, the example is right there. And speaking of examples, how about Quinnen Williams as an example as to why you don't give up on guys so quickly? Year 1 with this kid, middle of year 2, there were people calling Quinnen Williams a bust. I mean, listen, I get being impatient, but you can't write every guy off who doesn't peak 15 games into his career. Like, it takes... These guys are 19, 20, 21 years old. They're going from playing, dominating, sometimes against guys who were in high school a year or two ago, to going to the NFL. Like, you just spent a year or two ragdolling 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and now you're facing 33, 34-year-old offensive linemen who have been in the NFL for damn near as long as you've been alive. And fans giving up on guys because it's been 20 games and he's not a Pro Bowler yet. Relax. Quinnen Williams proved so many people wrong right now. Many of whom, of course, will be extremely quiet. But this is what I talk about when during Quinnen Williams' rookie year. There were a lot of folks, myself included, who were pulling his highlights and saying, look what this kid's doing. Oh, no moral victories. He's not doing this. Listen, he was a young kid, and he was having some games where he was making some really good linemen look bad, even if it was only a handful of reps. You could see it. You could see that it was there. But so many people are so obsessed with fantasy football, you got to have, where's the stat? I looked at the stat sheet. I didn't see anything on there. He didn't have any sacks. He only had 2 pressures. Right, but look at what he's doing to the guy across from him as a young kid who's still learning the position. So now Quinnen Williams, a few years on, a few years after people were writing him off as a bust and ignoring what they were seeing on film and only staring at the stat sheet. Maybe you play in a fantasy football league that gives points for defense, and you're mad because you picked Quinnen Williams and he didn't have a ton of sacks his first, second, third year. But if you were watching Quinnen Williams on a week-to-week basis, you could see from his rookie year. Don't talk to me about his production. His rookie year, he was winning some reps against some really good players, to where you could look at it and go, okay, I get why they took this kid, and I get where he can go from here. And now he's arrived. So Quinnen Williams, welcome to you. And hopefully, fans learn a lesson from this and stop writing guys off when they're not an all-pro by year 1 or 2. Sometimes it takes 3 years, sometimes 4. It's not like he was out there getting beat up and dragged around the field. He was out there finding his way. And now he's found it. Now the Jets have to go find themselves a coordinator and a quarterback. We'll catch you next week. Have a good one, Jets fans.